Hello and happy Friday, ladies and gentlemen. We've made it another week. Xbox is still standing, and we're here to talk about that exact subject, folks. Obviously, we have, the four games that released, lots of opinions, some very high emotions, some no wrong, but a lot of right conversation because, again, listen, if you have feelings about things being done to a brand, your favorite brand, you have the right and you should question, you should put forth your opinions. I think that there are certain ways not to do that, like we've seen some folks in the community do, but that's not for me to say. I mean, it's just my opinion. I came at it from a different point of view. I'm understanding but concerned. We're going to get into all of that. We have a guest here with us this morning. Obviously, Web Dave, as you know, he left the show permanently. He will be back occasionally because of a new job. So obviously, that's why you haven't seen him. Fuzzy Belvedere is sailing the seven seas with his family and enjoying his vacation. He should be back next week, and if not, the week after that. Obviously, Crispy Bomb and Dreadpool are here, but we also have a guest here. You know him not only from the Xbox Factor podcast, but you know him from The Fix. He's one of the lead voices over there. They had an episode last night. Hey, Umbra, how you feeling? Good morning, sir.
Fly me to the moon. Let me play among the stars. I'm feeling good, Boom. Thanks for having me, brother. How are you all?
Good. Great to have you here, man. We're going to get into it because, we were in the green room. We were saying, like, how do we approach today? Obviously, there's the kid gloves, way of thinking. And there's the, hey, we're going to rip this Band-Aid right off. We're going to talk about it. And I think we're going to rip the Band-Aid off, folks, because there is a whole mess to get into. Obviously, there were some, I thought, at least, Umbra, from last Thursday's business update, most Xbox gamers walked away feeling pretty confident with the brand. Like we heard from Phil, one of the things that he did make sure that he drove the point home was that they were not going to take games away, exclusives away that could potentially hurt the platform, aka the Xbox brand. I kind of walked away from that saying, well, that seems like maybe, just maybe, the conversations that we all had and the community kind of had, they took to heart. And I think there were some changes. Now, like for instance, was Gears of War ever going to be a part of the conversation? Well, I'm going to tell you this right now, straight up. If it does, you might as well just wave the white flag, Xbox, because that is a pillar. It is a constant when you talk about Xbox. And obviously, I know that you want more players in more places, and everyone we play together, everyone plays and wins. And I get all of the mantra. I get it all. But at the end of the day, you still are making boxes. You are still selling a service. And the last time I checked, Umbra, Stranger Things wasn't on Prime, and The Boys weren't on Netflix.
That's facts.
I'm just saying.
You're absolutely correct. And I think somehow it's a weird thing going on right now. And I don't want to jump the gun because before this conversation, but there's either people that's like, well, exclusives don't matter. Even though that we've all been taught and conditioned to believe and understand that exclusives matter. Then you have the others who are like, oh, I'm just accepting of everything. Put everything over there, which would completely devalue the brand of Xbox.
100%. It's just dumb business.
It's a weird conversation going on Twitter lately, and people turning against each other. I think people got to get it together. I am of the mind that, like you start bringing tentpole games over. At that point, it's a wrap.
Yep.
And I get it. Well, Halo might have a better, Gears might have more people playing, and that sounds nice, but at what cost? You know what I mean? And that's the problem for me. I don't want to jump the gun, like I said before.
No, wait. Listen, folks. Look, this is going to be a little less than a 2-hour show, not by much. I have family that I'm picking up. My nephew Tyler, as you know, he stays with us a couple times a month because he likes hanging out with his deal, and so I'm picking him up after 12, so I can't go extended. We have enough, I think, conversation that we're going to be here to at least 12. So strap in. We have a lot to get into. A lot of opinions are going to be put forth. Whether you agree, you don't, or you disagree, I ask in, being upfront and personal, that you don't get insulting. You don't get, you want to be pointed, it's fine. But the minute you start insulting, you have a chance of being banned or blocked, because we're here to have a fun conversation. Sometimes those conversations are going to be pointed. Sometimes those conversations are going to be silly. And a lot of the times we're here to provide good, strong opinions that matter. And if you don't agree, I understand that, but there's a way to express yourself that doesn't, that you shouldn't go and be a D-bag. FYI, I'm just warning you, because I know how emotional people get. And listen, we get emotional too, but we handle it like professionals. I expect you, the gracious community of 300 plus people already here, to do the same. Let's welcome in Dreadpool. Dreadpool, good morning, kind sir. How the heck are you feeling?
Good morning. I'm feeling great. This is going to be a good show. As Boom said, we're going to get emotional. It is what it is, but be responsible about it.
Yep.
Be respectful. We don't want, we're welcoming, and we don't want to see anybody get banned or blocked because of some silly comment, because they were just too invested in their emotions as opposed to rational thinking. So, but yeah, we're excited to be here. Welcome, Umbra. And it's a sad day that we're missing out on Fuzzy and the departure of Web Dave, but we're still here to celebrate Fridays and have good talks.
Yes,
absolutely.
indeed.
Thank you, brother. And you got you two greats here. You got yourself and Crispy Bomb. You gonna be all right. Y'all got some of the best.
Thank you, sir. Shout out to the Longhouse Gaming Podcast. Those three dudes killed it last night, as well as, guest appearing on Primetime Gaming. And we had all three, which was awesome. It was a good week for them. They crossed 1.5 K on YouTube. That's a big accomplishment, considering they kind of new on the scene, kind of like the way Infinite Umbra. Even before he put out a video, he had 1,000 people subscribe to his channel, because he puts out good content. People want to hear what he has to say. And well, this is why we try at Double Barrel Gaming to introduce you to new and upcoming voices, so you can add more voices and opinions to your weekly podcast listening, as you will. But Crispy Bomb, one of the best voices in the business, you should be doing fine. I think we have a lot to get into. How you feeling this morning, brother? Welcome back.
The stands, they want Xbox games. Isn't that interesting? Oh, yeah. It's fun. It really is. I laugh at them. Because some of them talked a lot of ish about Hi-Fi Rush.
Yep.
Talked a lot of ish about Sea of Thieves. But that's why we love Xbox. They poked fun at it, didn't they? Sea of Thieves count. They poked fun at it. They said, yeah, here you go. Shut up. Yeah. So we'll see what actually transpires when the FTC stops screwing around and wasting our tax dollars. But I think they just killed any narrative they have, because they just released Bethesda and Xbox Game Studio games on multiple platforms. So y'all need to stop. Just saying.
Yeah, indeed. And quickly, just want to address Jagger0718. Appreciate you being here as always. You're here, and we definitely appreciate it. What we don't appreciate is you saying that Crispy has an awful mic, which he explained that his mic died. New one's coming. And if you can't listen to it, well, you know what you got to do, brother. You need to hit the X button right on the corner of your right screen and don't listen to the show. Sorry. Sometimes people's mics go. Sometimes they have to pivot. And, well, such is life, as it were.
It got a lot of work, Boom, over the years. Just saying.
Yeah, it's fine. But it is what it is. Listen, this is until he gets his new mic, folks. This is Crispy, and he's going to be a part of the show. If you don't like it, don't listen. I don't know what to tell you. But let's get into this. Umbra, I want to go to you first. I want you, while the thought is fresh in your head. this is a multi-tiered conversation that we're about to have. And again, there's no right or wrong answers. Emotions are expected. We are a group of gamers who have loyalties to a platform, i.e. Xbox. We're not gatekeepers. I am I am a multi-console supporter. I have been since folks, and I'm not even being facetious. I have been a multi-console gamer since the NES and Sega Master System. Now, understand, if you know anything about me, my parents didn't have money. My pops was the only one that worked. Mom stayed home and take care of the kids, as it was back in the days. I worked super hard as a kid because my allowance was only $7.50 a week. That wasn't buying shit. So I delivered penny savers. I delivered the New York Post. I delivered the Daily News. I did all kinds of odd jobs to try and get money to buy consoles that I wanted to play because I wanted to play everything. I still do it today. I'm blessed. I'm fortunate. I'm not lucky because I worked really, really, really hard and did a real dangerous job for over 20 years and invested everything that would makes me the person I am into the people I swore in to protect. So I didn't trip and find this success. I worked for it. But I understand that not everyone, Umbra, can afford all three systems. So you pick a platform, right? Whatever that platform may be, and you go in on that platform. You show dedication to that platform. You invest your hard-earned money into that platform. So this is a multi-tiered conversation we're about to have. And again, some people are like, well, my God, they're talking about this again. Yeah, folks, it is the hottest conversation in gaming. And I think what is sad, Umbra, is that, okay, PlayStation, no roadmap. They have some games. They have some third-party stuff. Obviously, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth getting amazing reviews. It seems like the hype has really fallen off of Helldivers. They went from 410 concurrent to just a pinch over 100,000. And I think that is two reasons. One, it's a very, no offense, I love it. It's a very rinse and repeat kind of experience. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm saying that's what these kind of games are. I like it. I'm enjoying it. But the server situation is just disgusting. I didn't try yesterday out of disgust, but the 2 days prior, I couldn't get in. I tried, and I even tweeted about it. Every time I thought I was getting in, another timer would pop up. And it would go from 38 seconds to now 43 seconds. And then from 43 to 58. And then from 58 to higher. I'm like, you know what? I only have so much time in a day. F this game. And I think a lot of people have now said F that game. And that's the truth. But let me reel this back in, Umbra. We knew that these four games, we all kind of knew what the games were, right? We heard it. Famitsu talked about it. Many other people in the community talked about it. It was going to be Pentiment. It was going to be Hi-Fi Rush. It was going to be Sea of Thieves and Grounded. Those are the four games. Phil Spencer told us that there were only going to be four games. Is that true? Well, I don't know. I still in the camp of believing Phil Spencer. Maybe you don't, and that's fine. Have your opinion. But I think that if he's saying it's four games, it's four games. Does that change? Well, I guess we're going to find out. And when it does, understand that we're going to give them the business. But Umbra, where based on some of the conversation you had prior to this, let's expand on that.
Yeah, for me, and we had this conversation yesterday. Shout out to Mr. Badbit and OBM, One Bad Mother, for those that don't know, shut your mouth, who came by the show yesterday, and it was the same kind of discussion with myself and Danny, with those gentlemen. And that is that this is a test, right? I think it's very clear it's a test. And the reason why I come to the conclusion that it's a test, and what I mean by a test to bring more. And I've come to the point of acceptance already. Like, I get it. I know what they're doing. The problem, well, I'll get to the problem in a second. It's a test, and the reason why we can figure it as a test is because of the four niche titles that they're using. If they were really going all out to say, like, let's see how this works, they put a little something out there to ease everybody into it, because you run the risk of turning us as a fan base against you all the way. If you, for instance, if they jumped out of the gate saying, "Oh, Halo is going over there," that would have done it. We would have been done, right? And I think we can all roughly agree. But you put out something like a Hi-Fi Rush, which I had a problem with still. You put out a game
Me
like
too.
CFD, and I really did. I will say it's so funny though, because the first time we heard it, I was like, I don't like that they bring a Hi-Fi Rush over there. It's a brand new IP. It was well received. You only had a year of it. In fact, why would you give this over to them that fast, et cetera, et cetera? And then we started seeing the speculation of games that were considered. And I say considered because I do believe those games we heard, the big names, Starfield, Indiana Jones, Halo, Gears, I do believe that those were considered. I don't believe Tom Warren or anybody made that up. I'm sorry, I just don't. I believe they are considering those still. But this test right here is to see how we would react. So once I saw those games being mentioned, then I was like, okay, you can give them 4 then. Those 4, that could, it was copium. I was like, okay, well, I guess it's not so bad if you give them those 4, right? Just don't give them those. Don't give them the Halos and all that. So it's funny, and somebody called me out on it in a party chat. They were like, do you think you're kind of coping because they set you up with you?
Well, we don't have control. I think that's where the copium comes from, right? We don't
it's
have
that.
control.
It's a mixture of that and I guess a bit of hopelessness, because at that point you start to get thoughts of this is going to be the end of this platform, and we would go full third party, and to go the route of Sega. None of us want that. We all remember the Dreamcast fondly, but we don't want this to be that, and you start to hear those things, and that's why so many people were so upset, because those thoughts of this leading to that cross their mind, whether they want to acknowledge that or not. And all of us should have had a problem with that. Let's just be real. But this is a test, and they're going to see how these games do. And again, the reason why I know is because these are very niche titles. So they're going to say, hey, let's ease everybody in on our side. Let's ease our Hoove brothers over there on the other side in, and say, hey, here's a highly acclaimed, actually 4 highly acclaimed games. I shouldn't, cheapen the other ones, because they're highly acclaimed too. Tons of people, millions of people that played them. You know what I mean? Grounded had 15 million people play it already? Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, they just actually, let me pull up the exact numbers, because when we were just before we went into we went live, we were in the green room kind of like debating on whether what should we talk about. And let me just go into the DM, because Clobriel, if you don't know, is someone that has always been an amazing member of the Xbox community. He has always preached positivity. He has been out there. His graphic skills in putting things together have been nothing short of amazing. Well, he put out a graphic just yesterday, and it's a full-on breakdown.
Grounded was 20 plus.
Yeah, it's 20 plus million. Yeah, for Grounded now. 20 without going over to Nintendo PS, by the way.
Yep. So 35 million for Sea of Thieves. Thanks, Big Mac Mo, too. Big Mac Mo in the chat said it. Shout out to Big Mac Mo and Little Mac Mo. He pointed that out. 35 million and 25 for Grounded, or 20 million rather for Grounded. Like, that's impressive, right? And I don't think anybody should underwrite that. But so they found some success when it comes to that using Game Pass, right? So they want to try to get that and get money. I get it, but so it's when you look at it, this like you're not going to make a ton of money off of these games. The only one I think that would do it is Sea of Thieves, because it's a gas title. That's the only one I can see that's possibly going to have recurring, value for them when it comes to that. See, the other ones are kind of, you play them, and that's the end of that. You're not going to keep playing those over and over. Sea of Thieves brings you back.
No, they're going to get they're going to get, for instance, Pentiment and Hi-Fi Rush.
Yeah.
What's going to happen is those are going to be purchased, I don't know how many people are going to purchase them because, you know, all we heard when that game first released is that, wow, this looks like a Switch game. Wow, this looks like a
Mhm.
PlayStation game, but this doesn't look like an Xbox game. And that's why it was special. So
Well,
just
well,
real quick, just to add some context to what you're talking about in regards to these player numbers. We don't have numbers, at least I don't have them. If someone in the chat has them, throw them up. We'll give you a shout out of how many players were announced for Hi-Fi Rush. I don't know. How many players were announced for Pentiment? I honestly I don't know. To be fair, I didn't go looking for it because I didn't think we were going to need it. But you know, in the retrospect of it, I have all these numbers. So real quick, Umbra, just to add some context to what you're talking about in regards to numbers. This is again, this graphic comes the way of Cloverreal. Got to give credit where credit is due because that's something that we do here on Double Barrel Gaming. He has listed Starfield has 13 plus million players. Ghostwire Tokyo is 6 plus million players. Grounded is over 20 million players. Mind you, this was a passion project. Flight Simulator, the current Flight Simulator, over 12 plus million players. State of Decay 2, over 11 million players. Forza Horizon 5, 37 plus million players. Minecraft Dungeons, 25 million players. Sea of Thieves, 35 million players across Steam, PC, and of course Xbox. That's quite impressive. We have here Fallout 76 is upwards of 17 plus million. Elder Scrolls Online, or ESO for short, 24 plus million. And finally, and this is, I think, incredibly impressive because it launched, you know, kind of, you know, not having a lot of content. Halo Infinite has crossed over 20 million players.
yeah.
Big
Imagine
numbers.
had they launched with feature rich and content rich with Halo. Like, imagine that. But like again, well, looking at it too, Hi-Fi Rush had 3 million in sales and copies and people who played on Game Pass as of August 2023. I'm not sure where it's at now, but I'm going to guess at the least 5 million at the very low end of that. And so I guess that's a success. It's a smaller title. I don't think that should be, hitting any 20 million a number or anything like that. But my point of it is, between those titles, I don't think any of those are any indicator of like, oh, these are major sellers. The only one I can think of, again, goes back to Sea of Thieves. And that's because they have things you can buy, expansions and such like that. I'm not sure if it has basic microtransactions for items and things like that. I'm not too sure, but I know for sure it has expansions. So that's this money they can keep getting something from. You know what I mean? So, but the other games, they are niche. I don't even understand. I'm still trying to process why Pentiment is even being ported at all. I'm just going to be real with you. It's a super niche game.
Yep.
Many on our side didn't even touch it. I played it and beat it. I enjoyed it, but I just don't think many people are going to touch that. You know what I mean? But then you have, again, Hi-Fi Rush. I'm sure it's going to sell a bit. You got the other three. I just feel like it's a test to see what does. And I think even a point was made by Crispy Bond where he said that this is also a double play where maybe Microsoft was trying to soften the thought out there with how this plays out with the FTC. So that could be the case too. You know what I mean? I won't write that off because I think that makes some logical sense. So I don't want to keep bloviating and letting these brothers get the chance to speak, but I just have a hard time understanding some of it, processing why they will pick certain titles. But at the moment, I feel like it's kind of to ease us in to bring in, to bring in more games that they will eventually put over there once they see how this test goes. That's the best I've come up with.
No, it's a fine theory, and it's one that we are going to revisit because there are two back-ended questions that we're going to come back around to everyone and ask. And obviously, I'll ask the question to kind of put it out there for the chat to get involved, but just kind of you play with the ideas that I'm going to plant, and when we come back around to everybody, we'll have this conversation. There are two questions I have, Umbra, that I want you to kind of percolate with. One, does putting certain IPs across other platforms dilute the brand. And more importantly, and this is where a lot of people are talking right now, this is the hot button conversation. With the potential of a dilution of the brand, does that potentially hurt third party support for the platform moving forward? Will we see people be like, well, I don't need to put my game there because everyone's playing over here and over there?
Listen, the answer to both, just quickly, is yes and yes.
Yeah, so
Let's just be real.
We'll expand on it. Yeah, for sure.
I think again, some people are going to give you the whole nice, PR kumbaya talk. Well, no, because no, it definitely dilutes the brand because now you're saying, hey, I don't need you. I can play your games over here. Let's just be real. Now, is it going to hurt them overall in the long run? I don't know. I can't state anything for any definite, but I can say that it's going to hurt the brand as far as dilution, because now that's a unique item you no longer have. It's not unique to you anymore. If they took Halo and put it over there, that's a super unique item you no longer have in your deck.
Yep.
If PlayStation took God of War and put it over here, that's brand dilution for them, 100%, and they know that. You know what I mean? And PlayStation doesn't have anywhere near the type of titles that Microsoft does, where they can rely on constant people playing it. You know what I mean? And coming to a service to continuously pay for it. God of War, as great as it is a roughly,
it's one and done unless you play
game.
through
and
it.
I hate to say it that way, but it is. You're not going to keep coming back. Well, I'll take that back. I knew a Who brother who said, I played Spider-Man 50 times. And he was proud of that because he was saying, it's not one and done. I played it 50 times. I'm like, do you hear yourself?
Again, play how you want to play. If that game interests you, that you're going to play 50 times, listen, I'm not a hater. I'm a congratulator.
But he said it to try to combat the one and done thing. It's like, it's okay. The game is great, but it is a one and done. You're not going to go back to that. It's not Halo where you have multiplayer where you're going to keep them. It's not COD. It's a single player story game. You're going to be done with it and move on. You can go back to it, sure, but it's still a one and done. So they know what it means, but they don't accept that. They don't have those types of games that Xbox has. So I think if you take those types of games, specifically something of tent poles, and you say, hey, let's put it over there to PlayStation, their direct competitor, it definitely not only hurts the brand, it dilutes it for sure. I think anybody saying otherwise, you're just lying to yourself.
I 1,000% agree. Absolutely. Again, it's not gatekeeping, folks. Listen. The easiest way to explain this, and I think the most logical answer, or the most efficient way to explain exclusives and why they matter, and why they define brand, why they're the identity of the brand, is what I said in the opening. When you go and you watch Game of Thrones, for instance, on HBO, you cannot go to Showtime to watch Game of Thrones. They may have something that's similar, but it's not Game of Thrones. When you see something on like The Boys, The Boys are a unique, very R-rated version of the Avengers, and the comic is just on another level. But you can't find The Boys on Paramount Plus. You know what you can find on Paramount Plus? Halo Season 2, which watch it because holy shit, it's amazing,
good, hasn't it?
And episode 4. Oh my God.
I still haven't watched it, by the way. I'm watching it right
now.
No
right after.
It is. Look, I'm going to put it to this way. Mrs. Boom is a TV buff. She is a film buff. She loves media. But she doesn't really have an affection for Halo. It's not her go-to, if you will. She doesn't play it. She knows who Master Chief is. But even her, when we were watching, especially episode 4, she was at the edge of her seat. So that's how powerful it was. So getting to my point is that brand recognition brings in new customers.
It does, and that goes to a point I was trying to make yesterday on my podcast. Now, we had great speakers in OBM and met Mr. Bad Bit. So I didn't have to speak that much. That was the cool thing. I got to relax, because OBM, he'll go. He even acknowledged it. He like, I'm sorry if I was talking too much.
No,
I'm like,
he's a
he's a talker.
Dude, yeah, he is. He's
one thing
he's a good
he's gonna
one.
do is he's gonna talk. He's one bad mother. No, seriously, shout out to my brother. But I'm being playful. But seriously, one thing I wanted to point out, and this was made in chats and stuff, and they're right. You look at the branding of Hi-Fi Rush, Sea of Thieves, Pentiment, Grounded, and all those games that went over, all 4 games that went over to the other platforms. What you did not see is Xbox. You
did not see Xbox branding, which is that in itself is an hour conversation, because if you're trying to attract people to the brand, they don't know it's for the brand.
That's my point. And
the Xbox branding is nowhere.
I asked somebody separately. I said, so you see this right here. I showed them an image of Hi-Fi Rush. If you're a casual person, not because we know, all of us here, you and all in the chat, all of us know. So I get why some of y'all are like, whatever, because
right.
But you have to take yourself out of your shoes and say this is a casual person that doesn't know anything about these games, and you're looking in the market to pick up a new system, a console, whatever, and you see these titles there. Is that going to endear you to go get an Xbox when you see no Xbox branding, or you're going to be like, oh, okay, cool, I have all these other games on this PlayStation on top of God of War and all these other games? You would have no earthly idea this was tied to Xbox. So how does that help Xbox? Because again, we've already established these are likely not going to be.
It's almost as if they're ashamed to say that. Like for instance, it
does. And I get they probably, I'm sure there's some nuance to it that we don't know. Sony probably, hey, you can't put this Xbox logo on their player. I don't know.
I have a different output on that.
I want to get your
and we will come to it. Obviously, this is a conversational podcast, so if you spend 30 minutes talking, Dread, by all means, spend 30 minutes talking.
I'm just being as honest as I can, and I'm not saying this is. I don't want anybody to get it like a doom and gloom, because I'm not. I told you I'm accepted now. I accept what it is. I am going to get me a super high-end PC. I'm still going to be pro Xbox all the way. I'm not giving up on anything Xbox. The reason I'm getting the PC is because I got annoyed that I tried to play a game, somebody gifted me, and I couldn't play it. That's really why. But because my PC right here sucks. Sorry, PC, don't turn off on me. But it feels like when you start talking your appliances, they mess up on you. Like, what you say? But don't it feel like that? Like, what you say to me? But no, seriously, I am going to get a high-end PC because I want to play everything at the best, and I want everything on it. So I'm still going to be an Xbox ecosystem. I'm going to play them at the best and mod them and do everything else I want to do, especially stuff like Starfield, which I'm going to get right back into on my PC once I get it. Anyway, I say all that to say I'm not dooming and glooming, so I don't want you all to take it like, oh, this war is me. I have accepted what it is, but I'm also just being a realist. If you're putting those out there, you have no Xbox branding, then you can't say this is going to bring more people to Xbox. It's just not going to do that, because they would have no idea these belong to Xbox.
Yep.
And you're not trying to reach the hardcore. You're trying to reach those that don't know. You're trying to reach the untapped potential, right? You can't bring them to you without them knowing this belongs to you. Yeah. And now it does not belong to you. It belongs to the streets. But so my whole thing is I don't know that strategy there. I don't really get it, outside of maybe there had to be some understanding between them and Sony that they couldn't display that, which sounds odd to me, but maybe that's it. I don't know. Some things we just don't know. But aside from that, you were asking about third-party games. That was the second question, and I'm sorry again to kind of drag on everybody. I know you.
No, it's fine. Again, now that obviously, will this potentially hurt third-party support? Will devs and of course publishers be like, well, Xbox is putting their games everywhere, and we don't have to put. People aren't being attracted to the platform anymore. So why should I spend development cost to make a game for Xbox when I can simply just be like, well,
listen,
PlayStation's games are there, Nintendo games are there, but they also got Xbox games, so that's where all the players are.
If any of us are all being honest, this is not a new problem. Xbox has had this problem for a long time.
It just revealed itself at Nintendo Direct. Games.
It revealed itself more because this has been happening for
a
good decade, right? So this is, I'm not going to say a decade, because let's say the past, at the very least, since Xbox One to now, it has been a consistent thing. The 360 had a turn where it started getting a lot of those games over there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's because Xbox was the market leader for a while. So, and for the most of that gen, right? And to the very, very end, I'm going to give that to Xbox. I'm going to chalk that up to a Team Xbox win. I don't care what anybody says. But my thing of it is 360 didn't really have that issue as so much. Xbox One did. And we're seeing some of that here. Now, kudos and shout out to Team Xbox because they have made strides to bring games over here. It's not like they're sitting on their hands doing
And at
nothing.
the forefront of that is Sarah Bond. Let's just
Absolutely.
let's be clear. Who's responsible for it? Her leadership in bringing experiences that normally overlook the brand are why those experiences are finding their way to the brand.
And I will give a shout out to Phil because remember, this is not new. Phil himself said, we hear you. You know how Phil talks. We hear you. We are going to make a push to bring more Japanese titles over. And what did he do? You heard, because that was before Sarah was even a part of the team. You heard him say that. They made a big push to get more Japanese and Asian games over here, which they've done. And they have 200 plus partners that we heard about in the last or the I think it was the year before.
Yeah,
showcase
Sarah
where they
Bond
talked
talked about that.
Exactly. So they're not sitting on their thumbs and just fiddling around being like, huh? What game? Is Final Fantasy is out? It's not like they're being stupid. They're trying. And I get there's a lot of complexities to that. So I don't want anybody to get the idea that I'm just like, they're not doing it enough. They are. They're trying. But the problem is some of this is out of their hands. And that's the problem, Boom, because you're right. At a point, and it's been that way for a while. Again, these developers are saying, hey, I don't have to pay this extra cost of porting over to you. You're not going to sell much over there anyway, so it's not worth our time. The games don't even sell that well on PlayStation, if we're all being honest. So why then would they bring it over here where it's going to do a handful at most at times? You see what I mean? Now you're going to have some people, well, you guys don't buy anything, which is not true. But every platform has its own I guess uniqueness of what people are attuned to. We have things over here on Xbox side that most of us want to play versus what PlayStation players want to play. That's just the reality, but that's not to say that all of us are the same. I like a lot of JRPGs and Japanese action games and things like that, and anime and all that. A lot of people around me don't. It is what it is. But I think, it is salty. You do feel a bit away and salty at times once you start seeing more and more of games that should be over here, just outright skipping the platform. It starts to make you feel like, and I don't want to say second class citizen, but it makes you feel like, okay, we're back in that old cycle of the Xbox One again. You know what I mean? Where we're being ignored, even though we have, 40 million Xbox Series X is sold or whatever it is right now, whatever the number it is, and so many people MAUs or a month and all of that. You start to feel like, okay, we got all this popping over here.
Yep.
You got Game Pass going, 34 million people in it. That's including core, of course. You got good things going. Xbox might be third place, but if they're bringing in billions, it's not like they're not doing anything.
Well, they're making money for sure. The
making
numbers,
money.
they don't lie. Yeah.
A lot of people think, oh, you're third place, so they're losing and you're not doing anything. Let me be a third place loser if I can bring in billions any day of the week. But my whole point of it is all these things are going, but a lot of these people are saying, hey, or these companies rather are saying, we're going to skip you. And at the point, you're going to start to feel away when you're still continuously seeing major titles like a Final Fantasy Rebirth be a de facto first-party game for Sony. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I played the demo. I didn't care for Rebirth, but I know a lot of people do. And you look at the review scores, it's 93, 94.
93 yeah. It's the highest rated Final Fantasy in, I think, 2 decades.
So you see that, and that's going to have to weigh on you at a point for those who care about those types of games. And even if you don't, I'm the type where even if I don't play that game, I want my people on my platform of choice to have that option to or not to play that game. So I take not offense, but I have an issue with just seeing constantly Xbox left out like we don't matter over here. It annoys me.
The
But I
second
know these
class
people have to
citizen
do what's best for
conversation
them.
comes up, and you know you're not wrong for making that assumption. People want want to feel special. And I don't think again, I'm not being facetious here, folks. People want if you invest your heart, soul, and more importantly, your money into a platform, you want that platform to be special. You want that platform to make you feel special. And I'm not saying that it's doom and gloom. We're having an open-ended conversation. First of all, we got 600 people here. I definitely I got to get Dread and Crispy in here, get up to these super chats, and then obviously we still have some conversations to be had. But this is for me, at least as a host, has been a phenomenal way to kind of tackle a really big conversation that is happening in this community, and I think that we are all better for it. Umbra has killed it, in my opinion.
I would just say this in closing, just to move on, so let these gentlemen speak. And again, guys, sorry to talk so much.
No, that's all right, bro. This is a conversational podcast. That's what we do.
Just to say again, I don't want anybody to take this and be like, oh no, Xbox. No, we're gonna be fine. It's just some things that you can find issues with and want us to be better at in getting it what we should get as a community. And we kind of get shortchanged. So that to answer that question, yeah, I think when it comes to the brand being diminished by those titles going over there, I think that would happen if those so many games go over there, especially major ones. And after a minute, that's going to make it even worse for third party support. I believe that they'll say, hey, well, more people are going to flock over there to those platforms and play the games that you used to have unique to you. I think that would eventually happen. But just to answer a question, Feel More Pockets asked, with all of the large AAA games coming out, including Hellblade, Avowed, Indiana Jones, Doom, Contraband, Fable, etc., you don't think those games will be overshadow the smaller?
They're being overshadowed right now.
Yeah.
And I think you know what, Fillmore, we're going to answer that question on the back end, because I have a lot of thoughts to that exact question. I have it literally written down here. Brother, you are clairvoyant of something, because I literally was going to ask that question. We will come back to that momentarily. Yeah. Actually, well, I didn't send it to you. I have my own
hacking
notes.
His stuff, Fillmore.
Yeah. So thank you so much for that, Fillmore. We will come back to that question. I have a very unique answer to that. Listen, let's bring in Dreadpool, because Dreadpool is chomping at the bit. But let me catch up on the super chats so they don't get too far ahead. We already have 9 super chats as well as channel messages, so I want to read those real quick. Dread. Simon Brandy drops a very generous 10-pound super chat and says, Dead Island 2 in Game Pass Ultimate is a sign of plans for Call of Duty. A fee for online play needs to go. A two-tier game pass instead. Lower tier gets 6 games months later, and a convert price hike. Praying on FOMO, shaking my head. I don't think they're going to do anything with the pricing. I think what they are is what they are. I think Ultimate is going to, at least for the remaining, I'd say for the next couple of years, is going to be the $16.99. They did raise it once. I don't want to see an Xbox Game Pass that they start taking on the same ideologies of Netflix or like a Disney Plus, and every year or every year and a half to like, hey, email, we're going up, $2, and by the time you know, you're paying $30 for the service. I don't want to see that. So I hope that doesn't in fact happen. Tim the Sorcerer, who's been a channel member for a very generous 19 months, he says this: Hey, Boom, have a great show as always. Where are Web Dave and Fuzzy? I missed out on the info. Just curious. Okay, so Web Dave, I think he announced it on his show. We talked about it here. He had to leave the show or shows because he started a new job. And obviously, the new job doesn't give him the same leeway as when he was working at home. I think he's actually going to the site to work. So he will be joining us sparingly, but of course, he didn't get like thrown off the show or anything. He actually chose to leave because of, well, real life stuff. And Fuzzy is on vacation with his family and the boys. His wife and the kids are out cruising and sailing the 7 seas, not in Sea of Thieves, but actually on a cruise, and hopefully He enjoys himself, and he will be back potentially next week, depending on when him and the kids and the wife get back. So thank you so much for your concern, Tim. Definitely appreciate that. Highlander 001 gives 5 more double barrel gaming memberships, and the generosity just continues. Brother, thank you so much for the outstanding support. We just don't even know what to say other than we are humbled and are incredibly grateful for it. We have JFX88, who's been a channel member for 3 months. He says this: let's hope PlayStation fans don't buy the games, so Microsoft says never again. It was a waste of money. I mean, that's certainly a theory for sure. Like, if it fails, like, let's say, for instance, they sell a couple of thousand Pentiments and a few. Do they sell 1 million copies of Hi-Fi Rush? I'd like to think so, because that game is dope AF. But do Nintendo players and PlayStation players flock to Grounded? Look, here's the problem with Sony. Their own freaking players don't play multiplayer games because they're not conditioned. And I had a fight. I'm not even going to mention the guy's name. I was 2 shakes of a stick from just blocking him because I couldn't stand the disingenuous nature. I actually think he needs to sit down on a couch because he has major anger issues and that he obviously put forth towards me and the entire channel, by the way. I simply said that if you look at the numbers from Matt Piscatella, who was bullied to take his stats down that were true, of the 4 million announced of copies sold for Helldivers 2, 3.8 were on Steam. Those came from Steam Spy. He didn't make up the numbers. And I'm no mathematician, folks. Maybe I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed when it comes to math, even though I like numbers. But that leaves 200,000 left on PlayStation 5 who bought the game, i.e., I'm one of them. So where is the lie? So if they're not going to buy their own exclusives and play multiplayer, why would they play Grounded? Why would they play Sea of Thieves? I don't know. And we're going to find out in a month once these titles actually go out to the masses, and then a month after that, if the numbers are worthy, or and again, this was a failed or successful test into the market of multiplayer or gas games on other platforms. So thank you for the message, brother, as always. Elemental PO, who's been a channel member for 23 months. He says, happy Friday. Great job, Boom and crew. Love this panel, and we love you back, brother. Thank you so much for the generosity and the continued support. Gamer by Choice, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $10 super chat and says, Xbox has always been the ecosystem for me. The box is a device that I needed to play games. I see a future where consoles disappear and Xbox is a device/app that allows access to the Xbox platform. I mean, you're not wrong. I think that, yes, that ultimately is going to be what is it 2 years? Is it 5 years? Is it a decade? Microsoft, unfortunately, they are sometimes too ahead of the curve, and things that are trends now, they were ahead and they didn't. Like the Windows Phone is a perfect example. Zune is another example. If they would have just stuck with it, it would have been successful, and they would have been, the popular brand.
Even Mixer, Boom.
Mixer's another one. Mixer's a great example. Crispy Bomb, a great example. So we'll see. I mean, Hiroki Totoki of PlayStation, who, again, if you didn't know who he is and what position he holds, he is basically the Amy Hood, who is the CFO of Microsoft for Sony Interactive Entertainment. He is now running PlayStation, and he wants to make money. He wants to make money quick. They just lost $10 billion on their stock price on Monday because of failed numbers to get to failed sales numbers and expectations for PS5. They're going to want to make their money back. They're going to want that ROI, return on investment. So we'll see how long and how quick they pivot. Elemental P drops a $20 super chat, and he says this: I understand bringing niche titles, even new niche titles, to in progress. and gas games to other platforms. If they are touched, if they touch the holy trinity, then they might have a brand problem for newer generations who never heard of Xbox. Yeah, 1000%, 1000%. I absolutely agree. So look, I'm gonna stop there. We do have some more. I'm gonna get to them. I promise. Dread, let's bring you in. Obviously, this is open ended, brother. You've been here. You heard what I said. You've heard what some of the chat said. You've heard what Umbra said. But we want to hear what you have to say about this.
All right. Let's see. Being here for over half a cent, I gotta say, I've seen a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
I've been a gamer from the get-go. A
Okay.
gamer, okay? There's a difference. We all have preferences, and I do have the preference on Xbox over the others because of certain things, right? I've never really been a handheld type of person. So when it came to the Game Boy and all that, it was like, all right, cool, this is fun. Move on. Let's get to the good stuff. And nothing to take away from Game Boy, Game Advance, in DS. I've owned several of those handhelds. I just don't do it. My most played handheld game was that football simulator with the little dots, or the little, what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about, dude.
That's my
Oh
most
my
played.
God.
Okay.
Making me, like,
I think the company that made that was
inside.
Milton Bradley. I think that
Yeah.
was you're talking about. Yeah, it was green and white. I had it, dude. I had it.
Right. So, think about that. Okay. That didn't deter me from Nintendo. That didn't deter me from Tiger or any of the other ones. It's just something that I gravitated to. And that's the thing that we have to remember. We gravitate to certain things for certain reasons, for our own personal reasons, right? So we also got to remember things change. Okay. When things change, there's never going to be a constant, right? So Phil Spencer will never be a constant. We already know that. We already know that there will be somebody in his place, whether Xbox sticks around or not. I mean, look at Sega. Sega was never going to die, and they did it to themselves, right? So things always change. There's nothing that will always stay the same. Life changes. We live and die. We make mistakes. We grow from them. We are not the same person we were when we were, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Our gaming styles have changed. So even within 20 years, all that stuff changes. That was the beauty of going to Blockbuster back in those days, because you could try those games. Now we use Game Pass as that same rental service, and it's a bad thing. It's a never was, but oh look, it's still outlasting and making more money than ever. So when you look at it like that, it's you can't look at it like that. You have to look at it with peripheral vision, because anything can come at you from any side at any time, right? And if you guys are laser focused on one thing, you're not a racehorse. You're not running to sprint to the very end to beat the other horses. You're not doing that. You're there to enjoy life, and this is part of our hobby. This is part of our life. Okay, so when it comes to let's see, Hi-Fi Rush, Pentiment, Grounded, and Sea of Thieves, right? Sea of Thieves makes sense because Destiny makes sense to be everywhere. If Sony were to say, look, we're cutting it out and it's only going to be playable on Sony and PC, could you imagine? Right now, they're already having a player abandonment, basically, of the game. People are unhappy with the direction that the game has gone with certain releases. It happens every time. A release comes out and they're happy. A release comes out and they're upset, and then they're boycotting. They boycotted because they released all these people, all these devs, right? So they had to push back. And also now people are boycotting because they delayed the game. So when you look at that number, those metrics change every single time. Well, you got to keep that community going. I know we don't have that going on with Sea of Thieves, but eventually people get tired of playing the same thing over and over again, and they want something different. So what does Sea of Thieves do? They're giving you something more. Well, this isn't enough to keep it going, obviously. There's not enough players to keep it going. So they have to do something, right? So with that, it makes sense to go to other areas. So consoles would be, the next market, or I don't know, your cell phone could be the next market. So certain things make sense when you step back and stop thinking about the brand as your own. It's not your own, it's theirs. And until you're Phil Spencer or Satya Nadella, uh, you can't say nothing really. I mean, we can voice our opinions, and we have to do that respectfully so they would hear us and understand us as the fans, because yes, we ultimately control the money that's going into their pockets by making the choices of whether we buy the games or not. Okay. So when it comes to that, you have to be respectful, because you just start screaming. You know how many times I've heard people screaming on podcasts? I turn it off. I don't listen to them anymore. Why should I? They can't articulate a conversation without screaming and trying to be louder. Just because you're louder, does that mean you're right? No. We've seen that in politics in America. A lot of people screaming. Nobody's listening. Everybody's making fun of you because you're acting like a fool. And this is how the rest of the world sees America, as a whole bunch of fools, because that's all we do. We want to have discussions, and this is what we're about here, is discussions, different viewpoints, and we learn from each other at the same time. So and speaking of learning, this is what Xbox is trying to do. They're trying to learn the demographic of these games, right?
Yes.
Hi-Fi Rush. It's amazing how IGN and Game Bolt and whoever else was like, wow, this is a Nintendo game on Xbox. Wow, I'm surprised that this game is of this caliber on an Xbox versus Nintendo. Or, hey, they're doing pretty good for a PlayStation style game. PlayStation style. Again, we can't get away from that narrative. That's that Xbox tax coming in at you again. But why can't you do a compliment without giving it a backhanded compliment? And that's what they don't do. And this morning, I know I'm sidetracking, but Tom Henderson, we talked about him last week.
Yep.
And he clarified my questioning. And again today, he actually said, I'm deleting this tweet because more information came out, and he laid it out as to why he was deleting his original tweet, and he came back. That's integrity for you. That's something what we don't see in the media anymore, right? That's integrity. He actually lets you know what was wrong, backtracked, and told you more information. And that's what I said. Every time you have that information, you might not have enough information at that point in time. So you can have your gut natural reaction, and as time progresses, you get more information. Well, guess what? He just did. And he retweeted it, and he screenshotted his tweet that he was deleting to let you know why he was deleting it. And you can see what his original tweet was. So props to that. And that's what we got to remember. Things change. Things will always alter our point of views at any given time. So we have to remember that. So when Hi-Fi Rush is being highlighted as a PlayStation game or a Nintendo game, that is a viewpoint of theirs, that they're doing some backhanded compliments, right? Pentiment, again, that's another game that most of us didn't buy, right? A lot of us played it because it was on Game Pass. Same thing with Hi-Fi Rush. So their numbers, if you think about it, when Xbox is saying, hey, here's the numbers that I got for these games, they're huge. But would these people have paid for this game? We don't know. Right? They know we would have played it because, oh, wait, we have access to it. If I can run around Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or any mom and pop store and just pick off the shelf any game I wanted, I'd be picking them all off. Yeah, no problem. I can play this game. I can play that game. I can go into an arcade with unlimited quarters. Are you kidding me? I'd be going to the biggest banger arcades that they have and doing the $2 games. You know what I'm saying? $2 a shot type of games. Now you have to think about it. Like, do I go play this piddly one for a quarter? Do I play this other one for 50 cents? Or do I spend the $2 to play this pretty cool game that I want to play? It's a shooter, and I want to play this one. You have to figure how much money you want to go through, right? That's your personal choice. But this is stuff that we have to do, and this is stuff that Xbox is trying to figure out. Is this something that you would pay for? So what do? You put it on other platforms, right? And these are very niche games, but now they can actually see, is it worth the buy for the price point, right? That's the other thing I've always said. Games need to be evaluated accordingly for their price point. What is the value? Is it really valued at a $70 game, or are we just putting it out there because that's what everybody else is doing? We need to put games at their actual value. So with them doing that, I'm going to switch over to marketing, right? When it comes to marketing, we did notice that there's no Xbox marketing on it. Why do you think they did that? Do you think maybe they know what they're doing? Maybe they're trying something out like, hey, I know Nintendo doesn't want us advertising on a Nintendo cartridge Xbox, so we'll take the Xbox out. At the same time, if you're buying this game, not knowing it's Xbox until you load it in and you get into the, hey, by the way, this is an Xbox game, or made by Xbox. It's not an Xbox game. It's a Nintendo game. Just so happens to be on Xbox, also made by Xbox. Everything's Xbox. Oh, really? Huh. When Hi-Fi Rush 2 comes out, you think it's going to be multi-plat, or do you think it's only going to be on Xbox? Because when it picks up Steam, and Steam is in Locomotive, and they say, hey, this is a great game on these platforms. Hi-Fi Rush 2 comes out. Oh, you can only play it on Xbox. Where are you going to go? Think about that. There's
great points.
more beyond the first initial gut reaction. They're thinking 30 steps ahead of us. Okay, we're thinking gut reaction right now as to what we're feeling, and we got to stop thinking like this. This is a machine. They are there to make money. They're not there to be our friends. Yes, certain people that work for Xbox are our friends, but ultimately their job is their position is not to be our friend. Their job is what their position is there for. We just get the benefit of being a friend of somebody that's in a position like that. That doesn't mean we know everything. It doesn't mean that they'll tell us everything, and they can't. That's not their power. Their power is to do their job. We just get the bonus of being friends. So you got to remember that. It doesn't matter whose side you're on, none of that. When it comes to a business selling the business to another company, you don't tell your employees that you're putting your business up for sale. You know why? Mass hysteria. Well, guess what? Now you just tanked your own company. Your own company isn't worth it because everybody's bailing. Everybody's got low morale. Everybody, you know what I'm saying? So there's so many factors as to why they can't say what they're doing. There's so many factors as to why they have different directions that they're going, right? When you look at it, every single game is being analyzed every single day. Every game doesn't matter. You already know that Banjo-Kazooie, every single time. You talk to Phil Spencer yourself, Boom, and he said, yeah, we're looking into it, right?
Yeah.
That means they're looking into it. He's not just saying it just to say it to get you to walk away. He's saying it because he's honest. They're always looking into their IPs, right? They did the same thing with Voodoo Vince, and Voodoo Vince was one of Phil's favorite games. And the remaster of it kind of faltered. It did okay, Blinks again, certain games have a certain nostalgia that sometimes they just need to stay there. But don't think there isn't somebody looking at it going, hey, maybe we bring this back for this next generation. Maybe the nostalgia from last generation or 2 generations ago will bring it back, the hype for the following generation that's to come. We don't know. We know that this is a metric that they would do. There are certain things that they do, again, that we question and don't understand why. But there's somebody out there already looking at it and understanding why they're looking at it and saying yes or no. All right. So when it comes to that, okay. So you don't want to ruin the direction that these games can go, and that's the whole thing is you're checking the games to see if they validate the fact that you can actually sell them for the price. All right. And then again, like I said, then you can say, hey, look, here's part 2. And if you want it now, you get it on Game Pass, right? Game Pass is the only exclusive only
It
exclusive.
it should be the most important exclusive, because the value proposition, especially in a climate like 2024, the fiscal climate as it is, everything is increasing except your paychecks,
Right.
right? So yeah, you're right, Dredd. The Game Pass
Now,
is the exclusive.
and that's today. Okay. Tomorrow, it could still be exclusive, but you can play it anywhere. Think about that. Think about playing Game Pass, Xbox games on Game Pass on a PlayStation or a Nintendo. You can do the same thing. You're
Yeah,
still attached to Xbox brand, right? You're still attached to all that. Not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying there's always that possibility. And just because Matt Booty said it will never leave Xbox, remember the brand is everywhere. The console is just the best means to play a set of specific specifications that it has to make these games follow a certain order when it comes to how to build it and put it together to make it look beautiful, play well, and everything. So when you look at it like that, yes, this is going to be your best presentation out there, right? So it's like going to a movie versus going to an opera. Yeah, movies are good for certain things. Theater are good for other things. It just depends on which one's better for the media you're trying to serve to that part of the public, right? Broadway is Broadway because it is Broadway. Think about it. How many shows have been converted and IPs have been converted to Broadway musicals, right? Musicals aren't our thing, but guess what? It's out there. It's still huge. So it's a media. There's a Deadpool musical. Think about that. There was a Deadpool musical. Why would that make any sense? Because somebody's going to like it, right? And this is the same thing. Certain things might not be for you, but it'll be for somebody. And if you don't try, you'll never know. Now, here's the other part of it. Free Guy. You guys remember that with Ryan Reynolds where he was wearing that blue shirt? That was on Hulu, ABC, Netflix, Disney Plus. That was everywhere. I couldn't believe it. And it blew up even more because it was everywhere. So again, it's a thing that you're trying to do and try to figure out and test, right? So that's the whole thing. They're testing. They test every single time when they put these games out, when they put the images out, right? Crash Bandicoot, and everybody was doing the X sign with Crash Bandicoot. That was to see what's going on. Yeah, the hype is there, but how good is the hype, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Mandalorian.
like for the Free Guy theory, it makes sense. But Free Guy, the reason why it was everywhere, because it wasn't going to be the boys, and it wasn't going to be the next big release. It wasn't going to be a Stranger Things.
No, but
Those are considered to be the sacred cows.
right, but that's what I'm
And
getting at now. Here's the next one. Mandalorian. Did you also realize it was on Hulu? Did you also realize that there
well,
are
that's because Disney owns
broadcast?
them, though. That's why.
Right, but it was also on ABC. So why would I pay for Disney Plus if everybody else can watch it later on these other ones, even though
Well,
it's Disney
I
owned?
don't think it was on ABC. Like
Yeah,
it wasn't on
my
regular
buddy was no,
TV.
I'm sorry, not ABC, TBS. My buddy was watching Mandalorian on TBS. I'm sorry, I said ABC because it was in the family.
Is that a paid service he was watching? Because it wasn't
No,
on there.
no, he was watching it on cable, regular old cable, and I was like mind blown. So again, there's certain things like Mandalorian. That's Disney Plus. Why would it be here? Why would it be there? Again, so
Where did you say it was at? What channel?
TBS?
Don't Turner broadcast. You're saying, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And what country?
I mean,
US.
listen, if you're saying it, you're saying it. I mean, you
My buddy
obviously
said he
know.
watched it because I was like, come on, come on over. We'll sit there and watch Mandalorian. I'm like, I'll binge it all over again. He's like, I already saw it. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, I saw it on TV. So
I
again,
was thinking maybe the region, like, or something, maybe that allow it on certain things. That's my own thinking.
he lives 5 miles down the road from me, so region wouldn't matter.
Okay.
So again, it doesn't make sense, but it is what it is. So certain things can happen. Like I said, I was mind blown. I don't understand why, but it happens. So whatever, it is what it is. Just put that in perspective. I don't see Halo, and Gears and Forza going anywhere. Granted, Halo's free to play. Just saying, there's certain things. You just have to realize that everything can change on a dime depending on who the next person is. Because Phil says one thing, the next person can say something else, right? You just never know. And here's the other thought. Could this also be a test to show, I don't know, Lena Khan, to get them off their ass, to leave them alone? Because, hey, look at all these games
it's
are all
definitely
over the place.
it's definitely a possibility, but again, it's
there's so many unknowns to us.
Yeah, we're certainly gonna find out, Dredd. I mean, there's literally no doubt about it. We are definitely gonna find out. Again, I think that there is something to be said. You're making phenomenal points. People in the chat are loving it. You're dropping bars, as the kids like to say. The truth of the matter is, though, is that there are limitations. There are lines that cannot be crossed unless you're going to tank your brand. If Xbox does not matter, then they wouldn't have invested $80+ billion since 2018. They want to be everywhere. I get that. And you can do that right now. With your Xbox account, you can play on your phone, your TV, your tablet, your Xbox if you want, your PC, and probably your refrigerator. I think adding a Sea of Thieves to the conversation because it's gas, maybe, because we don't have the numbers, Dredd, maybe the 35 million players, it's hit its ceiling on Steam. It's hit its ceiling on Xbox. And okay, I hear you. You want to make more money. You want a sequel, right? And maybe, which I don't know if it's true or not, the PlayStation players that are not even playing Helldivers. And again, let me just add some context to that. There are a few people in the chat. They go, boom, it's the #1 played game. Folks, here's the thing. I'm reading the stats from Matt Piscatella. It's from 3 days ago. Okay? According to Matt, who was bullied by some of you in this chat right now to take down his tweet because, I'm sorry, some of you PlayStation fans are just gross. This is what he had. This is the stat. I have the freaking graph in front of me. He says from Circana's player engagement tracker, which is a tracker that all of the bigs use, including Matt Piscatella, including Benji Sales, and plenty of others. Helldivers 2 has been a huge hit, but it's mostly coming from PC. On the daily active players for respected platforms, 1 in 4 US Steam players are now playing Helldivers 2. You want to know who's playing Helldivers 2 on PlayStation? 1 of 20. 1 out of every 20 users on PlayStation 5 are playing this game. So I'm not pulling these stats out of my ass. This is literally a graph. So this graph is from 3 days ago. If something has changed in 3 days, because I went looking for the sales numbers and Sony ain't talking, as we know that they do, if you have the sales numbers, drop it in the chat. I'd be more than happy to give you a shout out. I can't find the exact sale numbers. I can only go based on what Matt Piscatella, who's a numbers guy, actually had to say. And that's why I made the point, if they're not going to play Helldivers 2, which is a console exclusive, why would they play Sea of Thieves? That's my question.
Usually Sony likes to brag about everything. And when
they absolutely
brag,
do.
Quiet.
Indeed. So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail you there. I see a lot of people with the pointed questions. Listen, folks, I don't do this for entertainment. I have no reason to lie about the numbers. I read it verbatim. This is an evidence-based conversation that we have here on this show. FYI.
And if it's not TBS, just saying, I don't know what channel it was.
Whatever it is, it's fine. He didn't watch it on Disney Plus, so he watched it somewhere else.
I looked into it. I looked into it just to see, and it says it's only on Disney Plus. However, to promote the 3rd season, it appeared on Freeform, FX, and all that.
No,
the first debut episode
started.
Yeah, I couldn't
So he
find
watched
it.
the original.
I'll take
season.
your word for it, but I haven't seen anything to it. But I don't think you
Yeah.
have any reason to sit here and lie to us. You know what I mean?
I have no reason to lie, especially Disney
of
Plus.
course not.
There's no cap to fuck. Sorry. To
That's all right. That's all right.
you
Get
know
it,
what I mean?
Nick. Get it, Fred.
Slip it
Go.
in.
It's Disney Plus, man. We're not. It's just an example. It's not. I'm not going after Xbox or PlayStation on this stuff. So
Yeah, no, I don't think
whatever.
you're lying. I don't think you have a reason to. By the way, is owned by Disney.
Yeah, it's
I believe
Fox.
so,
Yes,
yeah.
it's FX is Fox. So they own Fox. So yes, they own FX.
Oh wow, I didn't
Yeah,
know
they
that.
own Hulu. They
Yeah,
own ESPN.
they own a lot.
They own a lot. Yeah. So I mean, listen. In closing, Dredd, anything else you want to add before we bring Crispy in and get his hot take on this?
Yes. Be respectful. Talk about games on how what you love about it. Let's promote the positivity rather than the negativity, especially in our community spaces. And at the same time, love you guys. But you're wrong. No, I'm kidding. No. No, we gotta speak up as a unified voice against certain things. But we have to be respectful about it and make sure that they listen to us, not because
Yes.
we're yelling, not because we're
Phenomenal
emotionally
point.
invested in it, because we're thinking logically about all this stuff as to how we feel and expressed it very logically with reason. All right,
Yeah.
so let's go with that. That's it for
Fair.
me.
No, fair stuff as always. Dredd, you killed it as expected. Crispy Bomb, let's bring you in on the conversation. But before I do, let me just catch up on a few of the super chats. J Mac drops not one but two $5 super chats and says the fact that Microsoft and Xbox have put themselves in this position to be a console owner as well as a third party should be praised and not shunned. Indeed, sir. He also goes on to say on his second $5 super chat, unfortunately, the gaming landscape has changed. They no longer equate exclusivity with console popularity. Hashtag love games, not plastic. I mean, again, a strong point, J-Mac. We also have two member chats here from the channel members. Whole Grain Bread, who's been a channel member for 7 months, says this: Xbox has made multi-platform games for a decade. I don't get this outrage or third party skipping Xbox conversation, nor the Xbox branding issue. I mean, listen, brother, I hear you, and you entitled to your opinion. I'm going to push back a little bit. I think that the branding is important. Yes. And again, what are we talking about that they have gone third party on? Minecraft? Okay, yeah, sure, not a problem. One or two others, Halo, Gears, Forza. I refuse to sign off on that. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a purist. I understand that brand identity matters, and certain brands have certain identity. And when you look at Nintendo, it's Mario, it's Donkey Kong, it's Zelda, it's Samus, right? It's F-Zero. You could just go back and just keep listing them.
This is
For
Zelda.
yeah, right. So for PlayStation, it's Kratos, it's Nathan Drake, it's now newcomers like Aloy, it's Ape Escape, it's Sackboy. It's you can continue the trend of what identifies the brand to you and to many. For Xbox, it is Gears 4, even though they were shunned for it for years. It's Gears, Forza, and Halo. And I think that you can add Clockwork Revolution, Hellblade 2, South of Midnight. Fable needs to stay there.
Fable should have been a tent pole, but how that went.
No, they ruined it like they do a lot of things.
Mhm.
And now it's coming back. So these are games that need to stay on the brand, and you already have two massive platforms to sell your wares. You have Game Pass PC, and you have PC customers that will not subscribe but will buy your game, right? Pal World's a perfect example of people willing to spend money to buy a game, even though it's not a first-party exclusive. Steam players buy games. That's just what they do. And of course, you have Xbox players who subscribe to Game Pass and others that just outright buy the game. That is enough for those IP. And those IP, even though they may hit a ceiling, have to stay exclusive for brand identity. again, appreciate you being a channel member, brother, and appreciate the comment. Gamers, Play HUD Zero, who's been a channel member for 28 months. Dude, that is great. Thank you so much for the support. He says, "Good morning, Boom. Listen, I have loved Xbox since 2002, but I feel corporate Microsoft has taken over. It is no longer a fan console. It's about the money." And yeah, I mean, we're starting to hear that. I mean, when Amy Hoods get involved and you borrow $80 billion to buy a publisher, the investors want that return of investment and not willing to wait. So maybe that is ultimately going to be a problem. I will come back to the other super chats momentarily, but Crispy Bomb, you've had a chance to hear my thoughts, and of course Dreadpool and Umber, but we of course want to hear yours. What are your thoughts on the topic at hand?
I mean, right now we're at an IP wars. We are at an ecosystem wars.
Mm-hmm.
We are at what you feel like is your place to play. If you really look at it, you see Sony putting IPs all over the place. Netflix, like multiple different avenues. They really gravitated towards Netflix, which is quite surprising. As far as like actual TV stuff. And then you look at their brand value and, even Twisted Metal on Paramount, it was a really good show. And it got people wanting to play Twisted Metal. What's the problem? You don't have a recent Twisted Metal to play, do you? You have Twisted Metal Black, right? So let's be honest here. I've watched people since they've watched the 4th episode of the Halo series, and they're playing Reach now. And that's on the Halo MCC collection. That is a remake, remaster, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't supported right in the begin with, and I think that's where we can always give Xbox. If you're going to release something, release it in its full form and add stuff after that is not involved in the full form of it. Okay? Release new DLC, stuff like that. They've done that before. Don't tell me that you have to separate multiplayer and single player. We've all asked this because you've done it before. Why can't you do it now? Are you pushing it out? Are you doing things that we don't agree with? Okay? So you look at that and you say you have your full form. Master Chief Collection is pretty darn good now. And then you release this Halo series. This is an IP brand value. And we're talking about $1 billion IP. You're not just going to throw that to PlayStation and say, hey, you get Halo. No, that's not the way it works. They'll throw the TV stuff in there to Paramount.
Right.
They'll say, okay, you know what? Let's get some more eyes on this because people watch TV that don't play games. But if they go back to the games that we've made, which aren't bad, I beat Reach. I cried at the end. I cried. Okay? It was that's where I looked at, like Halo 3, Halo Reach. I beat those games. Now, it might not show up on my stats, but that's because I lost my account when I did that. And that's because I couldn't connect to online. I had more pressing issues as a human being. But I also, Dread, you make up a great point. I used to walk in to a Blockbuster down the road. And I had a Sega Saturn. When everybody had a PS1 and going into PS2. And I watched the entire aisle become PlayStation. And I'm sitting here with this little thing that I can just, it is like maybe 8 feet of 2 aisles, which are like 32 feet. And I look at them and I'm like, I've played this game before. I played this game before. I played this game before. I played this game before. Do you know what I love? Is that regardless of what y'all think, Game Pass is the new Blockbuster.
Yep.
Yet we are paying a subscription service. They didn't raise the price. You can hate or love it. You might get a sequel to Hi-Fi Rush now. You might get a sequel to Sea of Thieves. You might get a full-on developed game from Obsidian for Grounded. Grounded 2. That sounds nice on the tongue. I'm just saying.
No, it does. It's
really
true.
think about it. There are certain games that have a following, they have a community, but they've reached their peak. And you're going to slowly see Sony do the same thing. Yep. Nintendo is in their own little world. And eventually people are going to be tired of the regurgitation of what they do. But until then, they're going to roll with it. I mean, they did step out of the box and bring out a Wii. Remember the Wii?
Yeah.
I know I'm aging myself real quick, but let's be honest here. It gravitated towards people that didn't game because you know why? They stepped out of the box, and the Wii U was not what they wanted. So then you go back to the Switch that is now, and it's kind of a microcosm between the both. And now they're starting to like have motion stuff in there and stuff like that. They know how to market. And that's where I go and say Xbox, I get maybe there's something in the back lines, whatever else, that you can't market on these other consoles, but you need to figure out a way to make it happen. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, these casuals, oh, new game, Sea of Thieves. That's what they say. They don't even know that it's probably on Xbox because they probably had a PlayStation the whole time. And I've been there. I've gravitated towards IP. I gravitate towards Gears. Okay? If Gears goes to PlayStation, I will take the L. But I'm telling you, it's not going to happen because they got a movie coming out. They're trying to bring IP brand value to these tentpoles, as we call them. And I will be with Boom. I'll be like, dude, why are you doing this right now? I think they've cooked so long with Gears that, my God, I think it's going to be absolutely amazing. But not everyone's going to think that. Everybody's going to hate it, just like these PlayStation gamers that hated Hi-Fi Rush. Now they love it. Oh, isn't that interesting? Oh, isn't that funny? Oh, because it's not on your platform? I mean, when is it going to end? Because it's going to end at some point. You know, there's going to be an app or something like that. We are in a digital age. You have to deal with it or not. That is up to you as a human being. You have to understand that some of these IPs will be locked behind a service like Xbox is thinking. You know, you get it for that price and you get it day and date. Or PlayStation. No, you got to buy it. That's up to you as a consumer. That's not up to me. You can listen to what I say or you don't. If you don't like Game Pass, if you hate Xbox that much, then don't talk trash to us. Because I'm going to tell you right now, I played a lot of games I would never play. And it feels like, even though I'm not walking into Blockbuster, I'm walking into Blockbuster mentally. And I'm saying, wow, look at all of what I can play. And that's on a console. These Steam players, they don't give a crap about you. Yeah. They don't care. They don't care where it is. I'm going to tell you right now, most of them probably, if they're going to bring a console or something, it's going to be an Xbox. Because they've already experienced all this. There's no day and date right now. Well, Helldivers 2, first one, guess what happens? Steam players are destroying you. Like, they're playing it more than you. They're clogging up the servers. So you can sit there and go, oh, the servers. I seen all y'all. Come on, man. Like, let's be honest. Pal World clogged up the servers, right? How many days it take? What, 2?
2 days for Xbox to get involved, Microsoft to get involved.
Yeah. What you want a brand that you're gonna, go for and be this plastic box warrior and be like, oh, they care about me. No, they don't. Neither of them do. But I'm going to tell you right now, when people spoke up, Xbox listened. Just saying.
No, I mean, listen, phenomenal. Listen, what a way to open up the show. But we do have one question left before we get to that question, and this is kind of going to be jump in when you want to jump in, because again, this comes the way. Who was that? Umbra who has had this question?
That was Fillmore.
Fillmore Pockets. Yes,
Yeah.
Fillmore Pockets, brother. Thank you so much for the reminder. I'm old, folks. Sorry, Fillmore. This is for you. Let's get into it, but let me catch up on super chats. There's been again a ton of them. Let me get the next 6, and then we will get into the question. Rain G4, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $5 super chat and says Phil is playing nice because the FTC is watching. In case Microsoft tries to buy something else, they won't get too much pressure from the FTC. I mean, it's a solid point. Absolutely solid point. I mean, there's definitely, you can't argue that they are not putting games on other places if they're putting games on other places, especially ABK games, especially first party stuff like from Obsidian, and now obviously we're seeing from Tango Gameworks. It's a solid point. Simon Brandy drops an additional £5 super chat and says, you misunderstood me, Boom. Dead Island, it only in Game Pass Ultimate, suggests Call of Duty will do the same. Yes. I mean, that's I think core doesn't get day and date. So if you're not Ultimate or console, because I think console still gets day and date if I'm not mistaken. If you're core, no, you don't get day and date. So thank you for the clarification. Thank you for the additional generosity. He says also that's a price hike for day to date, my friend. Think about it. No, you're right. You are right.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely right about that.
How many tiers are on PlayStation? How many tiers are on PlayStation and none of them have day and date? Think about that.
There's like 3 or 4 of them, and none of them have day and date. Yes, yeah, Sony. I don't think they ever will. To be honest.
Think about it though. You're gonna say, well, a few bucks more, and I can get games day and date, or certain games like Dead Island 2 that I can't get anywhere else. So, yeah, spend that extra few bucks. I mean, that's the incentive.
Yep, and you're correct. JJ saying 117 drops a very generous $5 super chat and says Sea of Thieves could do very well on PlayStation after the backlash of Skull and Bones. I see them putting gas games in other systems. Not worried at all. You know what, brother? I'm glad. I'm glad you're not concerned. I mean, I'm worried. No, not. Am I worried? No. Do I have some concern about brand recognition potentially being damaged? I definitely have some concerns. Gamers Play HUD Zero drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, second note, Xbox is still a baby brand. PlayStation and Nintendo have decades over Xbox. We needed groundswell, and Microsoft was the C block. They do too much too soon and don't stick to their guns. Great point, dude. Highlander 001 drops a very generous additional $5 super chat and says devs at Xbox are taking to X, saying that they are worried and talking about the lack of third-party games not coming to Xbox. They have a morale problem. Yeah, they do. They definitely have people speaking out of turn too, for sure. Splendiferous, generous friend of the program, drops an outstanding $2 super chat and says, boom, who is this classy guy, Dread? He sounds smart. Indeed, he does. Gamer by Choice, who's been a channel member, folks, for 52 months. Holy moly. Thank you so much for the support, dude. He says, I'm hoping that Xbox sharing IP does not make games not hit the Xbox platform. I would be devastated if, like Grand Theft Auto 6 or other missing Xbox because of the lack of support. That's my only concern. Great show. I don't think you're going to see big titles skip Xbox because it's just too much money on the table that someone like a 2K would leave. It's the smaller games that someone would actually have to spend money to port over. They're like, well, if they're putting their games everywhere, people are playing more on PlayStation and Xbox, on Nintendo than Xbox. I'm not going to put my game there. We've seen it. We've seen it happen. Okay, so we're almost up to date. Son of Skyrim, who's been a channel member for half a year, brother, thank you so much for the generosity. He says, with the exorbitant cost of game production, I have no problem with games going multi-plat after 2 or 3 years. I mean, that's a strong point. If it means they can make better games. I mean, again, strong point, dude. And lastly, Splendiferous drops an additional $5 super chat and says, my community members, think about it, guys. Xbox is now so powerful that we are publishing our games on rival consoles. They can't stop us. We outside. And I mean, that's something to be said. I mean, but I think Sony's going to head that way. What they head that way with is still the question. Nintendo ain't never doing that. But let's I'm going to throw this out here, guys. We got 25 minutes before the show end of the show. This is an important question, and I think this is I literally, Umbra, just had this conversation with Kay Asante and Everborn Saga, and what I think is concerning is when you look at let's look at the playing field, gentlemen. And this is for Crispy, for Dreadpool, and for Infinite. Let's look at the playing field. 2024 has been cast as potentially another banger of a year for a lot of things. Well, there's a couple of things that we did learn early in the year. The roadmap, or the non-existent roadmap of PlayStation, well, there's a reason for it, because they told us in their fiscal findings that they're not going to have a AAA first-party banger until at least April of 2025. That means that when the Pro comes out, if the Pro comes out, the PS4 or the PS5 Pro comes out this year, they're not going to have a game to launch on it to take advantage of it. They're going to be using old games. Remember what happened with Xbox when they did that? We'll see if we get the same rhetoric.
That's not true.
Nintendo.
They get,
What was
they
that?
get, no, that's not true. They get Sea of Thieves.
Well, that's true. I mean, you're not wrong, sir. You're not wrong. Yeah, they get 4 games actually, but yeah, you're not wrong. Nintendo has pushed the Switch 2 out into 2025, so that's a big deal. I think what we're missing here, and why this is such a real pointed conversation with brand and brand loyalty and third party, is as Xbox gamers, we should be celebrating, because 2024 is going to be the best year in the console platform's history for first party, just based on what we know. And we know that they have over 10 plus major releases, according to Matt Booty. This is what we should be talking about, Umbra. We're not.
Yeah, no, I agree. It should be something we're talking about, and I think there is room for that. I think we can choose to highlight that, right? We can. I think, though, the relevant news is still around these exclusives, the former exclusives, rather, going multi-plat. And, you know, some people might not like that, but it's a relevant discussion. What I will say to that question about will these games overshadow the smaller games, and if the other like third-party games were coming over, these games would overshadow them. Well, not all the games that were listed would come out this year, so that's for one a foregone conclusion of something that's not going to happen. We don't know that Contraband is releasing this year. We don't know that outside. Matter of fact, we don't know anything as far as launch dates besides Hellblade 2. So, and I mean, and just to be real about it, I'm going to be very real. They're not going to plot the games that's releasing around here, the major releases around other smaller titles to hurt them. They want to recoup any of those sales too, because 30% of it is coming to Microsoft. So they're going to plot it out properly for those third-party games as well as with their first party. And just to add one more wrinkle to that, that I guess that thought process. Not everybody wants to play all these big AAAs. I know it sounds kind of weird because most of us are like, what? Give me Hellblade, give me Indiana Jones and whatever. A lot of us have obviously feel that way as far as the hardcore, but there are some who don't care about those. You know, it always seems strange to me when I hear them too, but It's real. It's a reality. Some people don't care about those and want the niche titles and prefer them. So it's room for all of that. And that's why I said, even for games, and that's why I said earlier, if you all paid attention, even for games that I don't play or have no interest in, I still want those third-party games to come to this platform, because there is somebody in this community that does want to play that, and it does matter to them. You know what I mean? And how selfish would it be for me to be like, oh, well, I don't care about that game, so nobody else should care. That's not how it works. So, I think there's room for all of that without, qualifying it or quantifying it based off these AAA games. I think both can coexist just fine,
Yeah.
personally. Let's just say if it was the case of all of these games hitting the way we want them to. Let's say we do get a Contraband this year, and as well as Hellblade 2 hitting the way it's supposed to hit, and Aura, History Untold, and all these other games that's supposed to come out this year. Good. That strengthens the brand. It strengthens this year for Xbox. That's a positive we can all, bask in the glory of. But that doesn't diminish the fact that we would still be missing out on these third-party titles while another, the competing platform gets them. It makes Xbox, should I say, I don't want to keep throwing us as if I'm with them, but you get my idea.
Yep.
It diminishes the brand in itself. It makes it feel like secondary, an afterthought, irrelevant, because all the big titles and all the smaller titles are all going over there. That's just the optics of how it looks. It's the perception too. Perception is a killer, because a lot of the issue with Xbox and PlayStation too. PlayStation is rewarded for perception. It's given more credit than it deserves, because
they're also championed by the media for boxing out other. And real quick, I wanted to do a quick response to G2 the Universe, who's obviously a PlayStation player, and of course you're welcome here. He says Rise of the Ronin and Stellar Blade, Final Fantasy Rebirth, and Helldivers 2 are not first party, but they're exclusives. Yeah, indeed. And I bought 2 of the 4, and I'm buying the other 2. Here's the problem, my friend. That same energy that you're putting out there, I don't know if you had that same energy in 2022 when Xbox first party took a shit and all they had was third and second party deals. Because back then, to folks like you and, of course, the gaming media, that didn't count. So I'm saying I agree with you. They have some good, really good second party and third party deals. But let's not fake the funk here and say that we're on equal playing fields, because that was not the conversation when Xbox first party took a shit in 2022. They had a lot of amazing only on Xbox games, but folks, I'm not saying you particularly, the gaming community along with the gaming media were like, nope, Xbox sucks again because they have no first party. So keep it a buck, my friend. That's all I'm saying. Please continue on Infinite Umbra.
No, yeah, I mean, you absolutely right on all of that too. Morning, K brother. But yeah, that again, I think I've made my point on it. I think that all of it matters, and we don't want to be in a position much like we were with the Xbox One generation, where we're with this steady fight to just have simple titles that should be on Xbox be on Xbox. It's not so much, it's the principle more than anything, right? It's the principalities in the smoke.
Yes,
we don't
100%.
We don't want to be in a case where we're like, I don't know, Unicorn Overlord is skipped to Xbox. We don't want to be in that case. That game sounds ridiculous, by the way.
And a lot of people are excited for it, by the way.
It's coming to Xbox, by the way. I just want to throw that out there. I know somebody's going to try to correct me. That's coming to Xbox, you idiot. I know. I'm joking around. I'm just saying titles like that, which are niche and weird, and we don't want that to miss out on a platform, even if we don't personally care for those. That's my thing. So I think, like I said, they both can exist, AAA and those third-party titles.
They absolutely can, and they should. They absolutely should. Games are measured by A's, but they shouldn't be measured for you as a gamer on whether or not an A makes it 3 A's versus 1 A, or indie make it more or less important. I mean, great points all around. We'll get to Crispy Bomb and Infinite Umbra. What are your thoughts on the theory that as Xbox gamers we're allowing this third party stuff overshadow what is expected to be one of the best years potentially for first party ever? Who jump in? Whoever wants to go jump in first.
I mean,
Go ahead.
no, go ahead. I mean, you are the same person. Let's be honest here, okay? We have games, mostly multiplayer, that are super prominent, like Grounded, Sea of Thieves going over there. You know, you look at Switch. I mean, Switch is good at what they do, but I mean, it's not on Grounded level. I mean, like I said, I would love to see how people experience it on the Switch because I'm interested. If they actually port it over correctly, it's going to be a smash hit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of games on both of those platforms that are single player. And here's where I go and say, well, did Hellblade 2 get announced for PlayStation and Switch? No, it didn't. Did Avowed? No. Is it bad that Hi-Fi Rush? I get it. I get that some people are like, this is like, no, you can't do this. And that includes you yourself, Boom. But let's be honest
Yes,
here.
100%. Yep.
Okay, it didn't sell that well. We're not superb single player gamers. I mean, let's be honest here. I've seen PlayStation gamers look at Hellblade 2 and be like, bro, I need that.
Insomniac Games are looking at Hellblade 2 and going, bro, we need to up our game moving forward using that tech. Yes.
I mean, really think about it, okay? They're releasing games that didn't. I mean, Pentiment. I mean, how many people on our side trashed that game? Okay, and I didn't even play it, but I was like, nah, this is it. I'm not into the novel BS. Okay, but it's going to other platforms. Maybe they have a different feeling than I do. I am actually not as happy as many people. Like, I'm not a single player gamer. But I can't hate y'all for being a single player gamer. I get it. I did that way back in the day. I'd rent from Blockbuster. I'd either play with my friends that were in front of me that we could actually play and punch each other in the arm and laugh and all this other stuff. And then you have people that you can't do that. And you're just like, bro, what's going on? Single player games are different from multiplayer. And just so happens this year, a lot of single players coming out. Now maybe we'll get some multiplayer in there. I'm sure we will. But I mean, let's ignore Game Pass. Let's ignore the fact that they're going to have Diablo 4 in Game Pass. Let's ignore the fact that they just dropped Dead Island 2 in Game Pass. Let's ignore that. Let's be ignorant and stupid and understand that these people that download Dead Island 2, they're already paying for the damn service. That was a shadow drop. Everybody's ignoring that. Like, what are we doing? Are you a gamer or are you a stan? And that is up to you as a human being. And that goes for both sides because I'm sick and tired of it. You know what? I'm a Gears stan. That is it. Come talk trash to me about Gears and I will break you as a human being. But other than that, I don't care. I'm a multiplayer gamer. I did the single player for many, 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 many years. Boom still enjoys it.
Yep.
Never hated him for it. He is respectful. He says what he believes. Some people can't do that. They go with a narrative that is unsubstantiated. It doesn't make sense. And also for the company, it don't really make sense. I have said many times, I watched the Twisted Metal series. Where's another Twisted Metal? Get me to buy your console, because Twisted Metal was always big on multiplayer. And people ignore that. SOCOM, big on multiplayer. They killed those IPs, but yet you bring Twisted Metal back just to tease me? I'm not going to go play Black. I'm not going to go buy, back in the day. I'm not going to go buy all this to do one game. Bring it to me. That is up to you. This company said, you know what? Maybe the FTC's involved. Maybe that's the reason why they said Xbox Game Studios, Obsidian, go ahead. Bring it over. Bethesda, go ahead. Bring it over. Rare, go ahead. Bring it over. Because they need to kill a narrative. They don't care. They don't. But at the same time, I don't care about no damn console wars. I give ish to people that say things that they said the exact opposite before. I hate a hypocrite.
Yeah.
You know what? I said what? How many times? If they put Gears over there, I don't care. But I don't see it. You know why? Because the IP brand value to Microsoft far exceeds getting those sales. And that's when you're going to see the movie and everything. Netflix is working on it. This isn't Universal. This isn't all that. They're working on it. And I'm going to tell you right now, the reception that they're getting from the Halo series season 2 is going to matter to them. Because at the end of the day, how do you get new people into your ecosystem? You do it organically, ladies and gentlemen, because that's something that nobody saw. How did Paramount stuck with it? It's Showtime actually that made this season. But you look at it and you say, okay, now we get it. And then I see people, I'm gonna go play Reach again. Like, I get it. I love Reach. Halo Reach is like the pinnacle. It's Halo Reach and Halo 3. That is it. I don't even care about any of the other ones. They hit the narrative, they hit the story, they hit everything. They made you feel something. And that's what Hellblade 2 is going to go do for you.
Yep.
That's what the Avowed's going to go do for you. It might be in different ways, but PlayStation gamers are going to look at this and be like, oh, when's this coming over? Oh, we're going to wait. We're going to wait. And you keep waiting. Because I'm telling you right now, they ain't going to do certain things that you think they're going to do. But that's on you to wait. You can wait. I won't hate you for it. But don't sit there and trash me for going to play it in Game Pass. Sorry, bro.
Fair point. Fair point. Listen, Dredd, let's get your hot take on this about the overshadowing of 24. Before I do, Coachman2236, who's been a channel member for 29 months, says this. I think the sacred cows stay exclusive. If selling to the hooved ones keeps games coming to Game Pass day and date, let them pay better them than us. I mean, first of all, Coachman, thank you for the outstanding support. And some of it makes sense, some of it doesn't make sense for me. Some things will never make sense for me, but of course I'm just I guess thinking at it from a fanboy point of view. Again, I understand the money aspect, but there are limitations. And real quick, JD Gamer drops ridiculous $50 super chat. Thank you so much, JD Gamer. That is incredibly kind of you. He says the Xbox community is once again failing for the okie doke. PlayStation is having 2 years. Let me say that again. 2 years of basically just one first-party AAA banger. They are having a terrible time, but them and PlayStation Media have changed the narrative once again. He's 1,000% correct, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Dredd, close us out, man. What is JD Gamer and the rest of us onto something? Should we be ignoring this? And is this actually overshadowing the potential of one of the greatest first-party years in the franchise's history?
Well, let's think about this, right? You got a Band-Aid stuck on your arm for a little longer than it should have been, and it's the really sticky ones, right? The really good ones that just don't want to come off, right? Now, are you going to sit there and pull it slowly where you can feel each hair either give or release the Band-Aid, right? They yoke out each hair like that, and hopefully some hairs stick around, or are you just going to rip it off and be done with it, right? This makes sense. Just rip it off, be done with it, move on, and we're giving it more attention than it needs to be. Okay, and that's the thing. It is we're especially the media, because obviously we know what the media is doing. They're looking for clicks. They're looking for that drama to bring suckers in, and unfortunately, we're all suckers for drama. If there's a train wreck, we're going to look. We're going to rubberneck. If there's an accident, is there a body over there? Is there? Oh, look, there's a sheet. Is it flat, or is there? You know what I'm saying? That's what we're doing. We all do it. It doesn't matter who it is. We have to see stuff we don't want to see. Nobody wants to see somebody unalived. We don't want to see that stuff, right? But this is what they do. They get us to that drama of the FOMO of, did I miss something? You know, I'm gonna cause another accident because I'm rubbernecking to go look and see what that accident was about and try to play detective in my own head as to why this happened and who was at fault and da 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 da. This is exactly what they're doing, and we're playing into it every single time. This is why we say, you know, pay attention, think about what you're reading, and then call them out when they're doing, you know, stuff, you know, the clickbait, because I mean, it's the bait and switch is what they're doing, right? They're clickbaiting you to look at the title because this and that, and it's to get our emotions invested into, I can't believe that they're saying this, or ha ha ha, they're saying this, look at this. You know, it's the opposite side. And you know, you're rooting for a team, and it's like, no, let's read the facts, let's read what's going on, let's read the room, and kind of go from there, and put our own thought process and our own perspective into it, and not let them the ignorance channel bait us all the time like this, you know, because that's what they do. um you know, so when it comes to that, we need, you know, Microsoft's just saying, look, or Xbox, Phil, whoever, you know, they've put the plan together to say, look, let's open this wound up, let's get the error to it, and let's let it heal and move on, because we keep doing this, it's just going to keep bringing negative attention to us. Like, you know, they've done that before, where we had the negative drama attention going on because of this and that, and guess what, it blew over. And you know what, we don't even talk about that stuff anymore. Nobody even cares about that stuff anymore. Why do we care? Because it was the first thing we saw that was a hypocrisy. We can't have this, and yet here we are, enraged, you know, and we don't even remember what it was. You know, just 2 weeks ago, it was
Yeah,
something,
it's
and
a fair
it's moved
point.
on, you
Yeah,
know. So
fair point.
you know, and that's it. That's all it is. Rip off the Band-Aid, move on. And then where's the negativity? It's all games, all good stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, I think this has been an amazing 2 hours. Great conversations from everybody. A big thank you to all of the crazy super chats that have come in. Obviously, we use them for channel promotions. We use this obviously to better power the channel with equipment, and obviously with the, you know, with the artwork that we have to pay for. So a big thank you for the continued support. Shout out to Nino Vestic, who has gifted a 1 Double Barrel Gaming membership, as he's done for quite a few shows now. So Nino, thank you so much for the generosity. We truly appreciate it here. Let's get to the outros. We'll get everyone out of here to start your Friday. We'll start first with Infinite Umber, our very special guest. Infinite, thanks so much for dropping bars and for hanging out for 2 hours, giving your thoughts. But we want to sell your brand. Tell everyone, if last night they missed the show with you, Danny, and a few of the very powerful voices you had on The Fix, where they can subscribe, where they can go rewatch that, and more importantly, follow you on social media.
Yes, indeed. Boom. Thanks for inviting me, brother. And it's good to, of course, to talk gaming with Dread and Crispy here always. So thank you guys for welcoming me in. Chat family, all love to you guys. Good discussion. Absolutely. I'm glad I had more energy to I feel like if I stay up once I get off at this early time, like 9 o'clock, I'm perfectly fine. When I start hitting 11 o'clock, that's when I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I worked midnights for a bit when I used to do overtimes, but you get home, you just want to sleep.
Absolutely. No, but good show, good talk. Necessary things to go over.
Yes.
But yeah, as far as where you guys can find me, of course, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite on Twitter X, you'll find me either way. And as far as the fix on Thursdays at 8 o'clock Eastern, I'm going to post the link in a second down below. But yeah, you guys can find it by, if you don't go to that link, just typing in my name and the fix, and you should find it. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah, let me drop it in there now for you. Win sweep. Give me 1 second. But yeah, I'll drop it in a second. But just wanted to say, if you guys do get a chance, yeah, check out our last episode. Really good talk. It went for way longer than I thought it would have gone, almost 3 hours. But I'm going to put timestamps in once I finish this podcast here, so you guys can skip to the relevant parts that you want to hear, with Bad Bit and One Bad Mother joining myself and Daniel McG. So again, shout out to the chat. Thank you all for holding us down. Shout out to panel members here, and Boom, of course, yourself. Oh, and just to say, today being Friday, the Infinite Podcast with myself, Risky for the Biscuit, that blue number, and rotating guests for this week. You all can come by that. It should be a good show tonight as well at 7 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely check out Risk It and the crew. Great group of gamers. Have a lot to say. Looking forward to that this evening. Gamer by Choice drops an additional $5 super chat and says, to me, Xbox is the car company telling the horse breeders times are changing and soon horsepower will measure something other than horses. I mean, strong point there, brother. Thank you for the generosity. Dreadpool, sell the brand of Breaking Bread with Dread, but more importantly, where they could find you here, there, and everywhere. And more importantly, how do they find you on social media, sir?
Yes, I just posted the YouTube link. So you can find me on X or Twitter, whatever. I don't care anymore. But it's Dreadpool. The O's are actually zeros. And if you follow the link, it'll link you to everything. I have all my socials hooked up to everything. Even if you look up Linktree at Dreadpool, all letters, it's everywhere there. I'm currently editing that video that I was working on last week, and it's processing. It's over 16 hours now, so I got another 4 hours to go. But yeah, I appreciate if you guys check that stuff out. It's from Hawaii, and we went to Pearl Harbor, so it'll be another day or so. But again, thank you all for coming here, checking out the stuff. I have different variety of shorts coming up on the YouTube channel and so forth. And love you guys. Again, don't let the distractors take you away and make you look like a fool. All right. Think about what you say and do. We all are held to a higher standard that we actually know and realize. So do your best to make our community better rather than look like a fool and make us look worse. So again, thank you all. Thanks to Infinite Umbra for coming out here and hanging out with us. And Crispy, I don't know how we sound the same, but apparently we sound the same.
Well, I mean, I don't personally think so. That's because I know you both. Crispy, obviously, where could people reach out to you, potentially strike up a conversation, and what else you got going on, sir?
At Chrisbomb on X, Chrisbomb28 Xbox Live, and yes, I am actually guesting Wednesday 4 p.m. with my brother C Money and my sister Doodle, and we going in the block party. So
very
let's
nice.
Go. And also you can always find me here, at least most of the time. Breakfast of Boom, Friday 10 a.m. We'll see you then.
Thanks so much, brother. Okay, folks. Well, listen, so have a great weekend. Enjoy gaming wherever you enjoy gaming. And of course, we're going to continue to bring you double barrel gaming coverage 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. All the shows are listed on the channel. If you're finding the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing, as we are on the hunt to 15K. I do live stream 5 days a week. All great panels, all great conversation. You know what we don't do? We don't hate monger. We don't clickbait you. And we don't do the old okey doke or the switcheroo to get you in here for your view. The titles read what they read, and we have these conversations, and they're very pointed, they're very opinionated, but more importantly, we do bring facts to the conversation in the form of articles that we do use. It's well researched, and we'd appreciate if you would consider subscribing. And of course, I'm going to close out today's show. Wait a second here. With something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully, one day, folks, it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.